the modern digital world, Google has become the word for searching the internet. 9 out of every 10 internet searches across the globe use Google.
People come to Google and ask quite intimate questions about their lives. Give me advice on getting a divorce. Help me solve a genetic illness. What do I do if I'm going bankrupt? And Google decides what answers you will get to those questions. That sort of power hasn't been seen on this sort of scale ever before.
Each free search is a transaction. In return, Google takes a piece of our personal data.
We can't just blindly trust that they're collecting all this data and they're not going to personalize it and they're not going to track us across the web, because they make money by tracking us across the web.
Google is now butting heads with governments around the world.
Google is able to collect an amount of information about its users that would even make the NSA blush.
They are in New Zealand, they generate revenue out of New Zealand, they've got their staff based in New Zealand, they've got to abide by New Zealand laws.
They make all their money by what they'll never show you under the hood, and that's tracking users online.
Patrick Johnson worked for America's surveillance giant, the National Security Agency.
I come from the intelligence world, and data is gold. You take what you can, and you can piece together a lot of information about who people are.
He's now Chief Technology Officer for Disconnect, a company that stops users from being tracked through the internet.
Until they kind of pull back the curtain and say, this is how we store your data, this is how we treat it, then I think we'll never fully know what they're doing with our data, even when we proactively turn on features to try to limit what they know about us.
I am a long-term Google user. Google knows who I communicate with, everywhere I go, how I spend my money, who my family members are, their birthdays, what I watch online, holidays I've planned, and every single thing I look for on the internet. This is how many cookies I have attached to my account right now, and my use goes back 10 years. My daughter is using Google Docs at school via a contract with the New South Wales Education Department. So Google is learning about her behaviour and interests. In theory, they could track her use from school to our home via our home internet address. Add facial recognition and voice recognition, and the picture is pretty much complete.
Cookies are digital marketing and surveillance tools that can be very effective. When you visit a website, a little unit, a string of text, jumps out of that website into your browser. And it can actually provide information to an advertiser about the website you visited, potentially about your name, about your interests.
We want you to feel confident that your information is protected and that you're in control.
I think most people don't understand both how much cookies track them, how many cookies there are out there, and how invasive to your privacy it can be.
Google says it allows users to delete those cookies.
The level of privacy that Google offers consumers is a lot better than it was 5 or 8 years ago. So there's a definite improvement, and that needs to be noted. However, there's certainly room for improvement in allowing consumers to see in a drill-down fashion how their data is being taken, how it's being used, how they're going to be packaged up and sold.
Data helps make search work better for you. And with auto delete, you can choose how long you want it to be saved.
What if they start dipping into data that you're not okay with them getting? And right now, there's no hard stop that says, yes, Google, you can use some of my data to make your products better, but I'm going to draw the line here. There's no line.
Simply put, our goal is to build a more helpful Google for everyone.
Google has a market cap of about $800 billion US. And it has an annual revenue of about 195 billion Australian. A significant part of the value of Google, its parent company, Alphabet, comes from being able to take our data and extract value out of that to advertisers.
There are legitimate questions regarding the company's policies and practices, including with respect to content moderation and the protection of user privacy. But before we
Last December, the head of Google had to face a concerned US Congress.
Protecting the privacy and security of our users has long been an essential part of our mission.
It's not just privacy. European governments and authorities have fined the company more than $13 billion for abusive anti-competitive practices, as well as manipulating search results to help its own advertising business.
The damages from the EU and the EC in the past couple of years are significant, but they're not staggering by any measure to the company. What they are is the equivalent of about 4 weeks of revenues.
Now, New Zealand is furious that Google breached a court order, potentially jeopardising the trial of a man accused of murdering British tourist Grace Millane.
Their attitude in the last couple of weeks was, we don't really care. This is the way our system works. This is what we do.
Google published information that was suppressed by the judge.
They cannot be trusted until they demonstrate they're going to get it right. They're striving to get it right, and that is work with their processes and their algorithms to make sure that, as in this particular case, information that is suppressed in a country is not published by them in that country, because that's what they're doing at the moment.
New Zealand's Justice Minister plans to meet with Australia's Attorney General later this year to discuss Google's actions.
You know, the world we live in now is for conventional media, for conventional publishers of news and information. That information and news can be published anywhere in the world because of the likes of Google and Facebook and others. But we've got to make sure that we can protect our respective nation-state interests. Fair trial rights is one of those. And if we've got to take them on as countries working together, those big platforms, then that's what we have to do.
Google's corporate code of conduct was, don't be evil.
Because there's no one there to police them, they're just doing everything they want to do. And that's not going to end well for consumers. And so this stuff needs to be figured out now before it's too late.
Google branded itself as a company that was a force for good around the world. If it's a force for good, then it will comply with the laws in whatever country that it's in, whatever jurisdiction that it's in. It's not doing that.
So we've never seen a company or a country or indeed an empire in the world before that has had this much reach to this many people. I mean, on a daily basis, the company is reaching out to 3.5 billion people. It's nearly half the population of the world. And that is an extraordinary reach. And it's not just about actually touching those people's lives, it's what it does.
The story was produced by Alex McDonald and reported by Michael Vincent. You can find statements from Google, the Attorney General Christian Porter and the New South Wales Education Department on our website. Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.